Human rights has always been an issue. For centuries, we've been fighting a battle between what is right and wrong and how we should treat others. One field we haven't solved and completely rectified, even for America, is the issue of labor rights. We trade and defer much of our business and manufacturing to China, and in doing so have allowed them to gain in ways we never allow on our homeland, and shouldn't, especially when we're involved. China has for decades been steadily climbing their influential power over world trade, but have used inhumane techniques to reach that position. In this speech, I'll be bringing forward evidence of China's and our negligence, and how we can rectify that through policies I'm theoretically proposing. China has been stealing our information for the past several decades, since they have a system that does not promote innovation and is really suppressive and makes people do whatever they think is best for them, or really for the government, not for that person. Then it doesn't really inspire innovation in the individuals, so they have a harder time coming up with new ideas, new technology, blueprints for ideas and all of that. So they have to take from America, where we may not have the best education system, but we do have the freedom of choice, and so we end up having some of the best and most brilliant inventors and people with innovative ideas, because we allow everyone to have their own decision what they want to do. And so that just really cultivates just allowing us to come up with good ideas. So China has started paying people to steal them from us. And they have people day and night just hacking our systems and looking for information before it's been released that they can use and then claim as their own. And so what I'm proposing to discourage that is that China currently, or the Chinese government can no longer obtain American research, advancements, blueprints for existing or emerging technology, intellectual property, or any private government information illegally through cyber espionage. Any violation will result in economic sanction of Chinese products. And then, so kind of relating to it as well, I'm also going to be talking about the labor rights, as I said, and since they are much more suppressive, you don't have a choice between whether you're a factory worker or a doctor, and the conditions that they put people in factories, and actually a lot of their work environments, are just not good at all. And so one of the issues that I'm going to look at is how we as Americans, with our companies, a lot of them have chosen to outsource with our production, and so that has really been negative for them, because we just want to have everything be cheaper, so there's a little bit more, we make a little bit more money in the end, and it's really not that much, and so it's not worth the pain that we put other people through. So one way that I am suggesting that we fix that is that American companies overseas must meet the same criteria of labor standards as on American soil. OSHA standards will apply to all American companies, no matter where they produce in the globe. Consequences for violations of this policy will result in sanctioning of countries trading with violating American companies until requirements are met. And basically that's just going to encourage, the sanctions are going to encourage China to improve their work environment and not allow the American companies that are going to their soil, since there's more lax labor laws and they can pay people less. It'll just make it so that they'll want to fix everything so that they keep those companies on their soil rather than them having come back to the US. But should they choose not to, then that's going to benefit America as well, because we'll have more jobs for everyone here, since the companies will be coming back. And basically just what OSHA is, just a little rundown of it, so that you're aware of what they'd be having to meet. OSHA is a part of the United States Department of Labor. And what their role in my proposal would be is that they would sanction any company or country that has companies that are not meeting the labor rights that we have set in place, that we're having American companies over on their soil. And basically the Occupational and Safety Health Act, their primary goal is to ensure worker and workplace safety. And their specific goal is to make sure employers provide their workers a place of employment free from recognized hazards to safety and health, such as exposure to toxic chemicals, excessive noise levels, mechanical dangers, heat or cold stress, or unsanitary conditions. In order to establish standards for workplace health and safety, the Act also created the National Institute for Occupational Safety and Health. NIOSH, and it basically is a research institution for OSHA that will go out, investigate companies, and what they're doing right now is just investigating American companies and making sure that they're meeting OSHA standards. And there's a long list, way longer than that, but that's just the basics of the standards that companies are having to meet. So then once they tell OSHA about the companies that are violating it, OSHA will go in and reinforce the law, and they would be doing that as well over in other countries. So they'd have departments over, and especially in China, since that's one of our biggest trades and outsourcing countries. So basically, the major violators of OSHA that we have found are Shell, and they violated it by contaminating the air and waterways of the Niger Delta and disenfranchising native Ogoni villagers by putting their health, safety, property, and well-being at stake. And then Nike, which a lot of people know about Nike and their exploiting workers in sweatshops. They failed to provide safe work environments and contracted with cotton factories that use slave labor. And then Ahava is operating and profiteering on confiscated Palestinian lands, violating international law and misleading consumers of the exact location where their products are being made, which is dangerous for both the consumers and the people that are in their workplace, because it's not a safe environment at all. And then basically what sanctions are economic penalties on another country, and it's basically just a domestic penalty, and this usually includes removal of trading rights, tariffs, and trade regulations within America. And we would be enacting this on China. We can do it with other countries, but this is the one that we would do with this proposal. And then, just as a little idea of how severe this would be for China, here are some numbers of what they were what we are exporting to them this past year. And basically, we sent 13.8 billion over to them of grain, seed, fruit, and soybeans. And then, as you can see, there's more numbers, and we don't export as much to them as they export to us. But imports that we received from China in 2014 were electrical machinery and many billions of dollars in other areas. And so basically, just that would put the Chinese into a distress if we were to put a sanction on them, because they export more to us than they import. We'd be just kind of they would have a definite negative effects on their economy because of that. And so they would either rectify it, or we would just take our business elsewhere or have the jobs come back to us. So although the U.S. has had companies that are bending the rules, the big issue lies with our foreign policy on how companies treat their employees off American soil. We are taking jobs away from Americans by having companies outsource. And so by having more stringent rules on overseas production for American companies, it could potentially return business to the U.S. and have more revenue here. And this ultimately will improve working conditions globally and be one step closer to bettering human rights. Thank you.